Hi, it's Maya, and ever since Tuesday, June 2nd, I have been attending various different Black Lives Matter protests throughout the area. So far, I have been to protests in Detroit, Perrysburg, Toledo, Bedford, Belle Isle, Monroe, and more. If I could use one word to describe the marches and protests that I've been to, it would be powerful. The media has a habit of highlighting the violent and negative parts of the demonstrations, but they are so much more than that. I, along many others, am lucky to have not been in a violent situation during any demonstration I have attended. Even so, I have seen more love and compassion for one another during these demonstrations than I have in a long time. The murder of George Floyd was a tragedy that ultimately brought us all together to demand an entire system change. At a protest in Detroit, Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib was speaking, and she said, "When George Floyd was calling out for his mama in his last few moments of life, I was no longer a congresswoman or an immigrant. I was a mother, and no mother should feel that type of pain." We were angry, and that anger pushed us to take to the streets. But being in the streets with others who felt the same anger turned that anger into love. I spoke with a white woman who told me, "If my baby went to the store and never came home, or went on a run and never came home, or got pulled over and never came home, I'd want to burn the city down too, until I saw this. We're all here for the same reason, and there's a sense of comfort in that." While marching towards justice for our brothers and sisters, we often collaborate and connect with one another. I showed up late to a Detroit protest one day, and the organizers, along with a few others, stayed at the location where the march started. While we waited for the march to make its way back to the location, we had a very long discussion about racism and why it's so prominent in the United States. I learned so many things that I would otherwise never know, like why black women disproportionately die after childbirth and mass incarceration of black men. Not only do these demonstrations help bring us together, it also educates us. It helps white people understand, at least a little, what it's like to be a person of color in America. I've been to about 6 or 7 daily protests in Detroit, where every day we march for a few hours and then we stop at a location for usually about a half an hour, and we celebrate. They play music, usually Tupac and a lot of Aretha Franklin, and we dance and sing. And then we go right back to marching. But we give ourselves a break to remember that we're human. Overall, these displays of togetherness and reclaiming our power is not close to being over. This movement will be taught in our children's history books. I've learned more about systemic racism and white supremacy in the past week than I ever have in my entire life. I remember at Monroe's protest, a woman was speaking, and she said that Martin Luther King had a dream, but this is a nightmare. But I don't think that. I think that this is simply the beginning of a beautiful movement that will drastically improve the lives of the generations after us, while ensuring that America takes its knee off of African Americans' necks. This movement isn't going anywhere.